Oh, crap. It's got this stupid password.
Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of my discussion. It's 3 old goats getting together and discussing Highway 55 from the Andes days through Highway 55. 3 gray beard. Well, I'm not saying April has a gray beard. That would be rude. I happen to know for a fact that she actually plucks them when they do come out. So I think it's awesome that I've got these folks on with me on the very first podcast. But here's part 2, because I'm sure a lot of you are really interested in knowing how do they do what they do as far as Lenore, and so we want to kind of dig into that a little bit. But I also want to preface it with this. This is Neal and April's attitude. When they were here working in the home office, they had great salaries. They had just built their dream house on a pond, a lake actually close by. I mean, it was a log cabin. It was beautiful. Went out there and we grilled out together. The view, it was amazing. And I came to them because I needed some help in the western part of the state. Now keep in mind, now we weren't kids when I went to them, and I said, Neal, April, I really need you guys. I'm going to miss you here desperately because, like I said, they were so valuable to me. But what the company needs and what I'm asking you to do is to go to the western part of the state, to basically sell your dream house, go find a house, and help us build that area out there. They literally thought about it for a weekend and came in Monday and said, we're in. I'm about to tear up telling this story right now because that is a sense of loyalty and mission and love that you just don't get every day. And that's why I say that's my brother and my sister and my compadres in this, if you will. We're more than just co-workers, okay? Now, let's get back. I said I've sent you out there. You've had to learn a new language because they go up our instead of up there. So you've had to learn a new language. April being from there, up our, yeah, she's being from there, so she already has a little bit, okay, we got it. Has a little bit, practice again, one more. Obviously my voice is breaking up a little bit on here for you guys, so, but look, when you went out west, and we opened up the store in Lenore, you guys took that on and to become the owners of that, because I'm sure you felt that if you were going to help oversee other stores in the western part of the territory, you really needed to own one yourself. And but man, you guys have had some success. So just kind of give us an overview of how it's been, how long you've been open, and where you still are on the sales sheet and all that good stuff. So talk to us.
I think moving to Western North Carolina, it was a big decision, but it was the right decision. It was the right decision for the company. It was the right decision for Neal and I, and we have found a beautiful home that we have been able to make our own. And we kept driving around and looking for where did we need to live, and
we kept coming through this main crossroads in Lenore. I mean, we just wound up there every day.
Yeah. So we decided that Lenore was obviously the town that we needed to pursue for a home, because the store, the property was in the process of being bought at that time. I think it was one of the sites we were looking at, and so we were able to do that. And the community, the town, it just was a good fit for us. But being new to Lenore, being new to Western North Carolina, yes, I have some family that's a county over, but they really don't know anybody where we're at.
Yeah, and thank you for all those kind words about us moving. But you are exactly right. We moved into an area that we didn't know anything about, and didn't have any contacts, didn't have any introduction to the community at all. So we just had to go out and make it happen.
And when we were interviewing employees, Kenney, you spoke about this in the first part, that our value system is what really separates us from others, and that so when I interviewed people, I used that. My biggest conversation with them when we were interviewing them was the love your neighbor side. Would they be a part of our team and our family and not be an employee with us? And so when we built, when we were interviewing and hiring, everybody around me that I would come in contact with would say, oh, you're never going to be able to hire enough employees because other businesses were having to close.
They don't have enough employees right now.
Right.
So you're telling everybody out there that's watching this podcast that from the opening interview, it was about love your neighbor. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Why is that so important?
Yeah.
If you don't engage in that culture, I mean, the rest of it is meaningless. I mean, we can sell cheeseburgers, but you've got to become involved in the community because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It's the right thing to love your neighbor. It's basically the first and second commandments that God gives us in the Bible, you know?
And then
So,
I think the employees have to, you know, when we're interviewing those employees, if we don't get something that sparks in their eyes or in a conversation,
right.
if we don't feel something from that, then they're just not going to fit. They're not going to be a good fit for us. You know, all the other restaurants in town, not all of them. There were a lot of restaurants in town when we started interviewing that had their lobbies closed or they had reduced hours, and they had big signs up that they were starting people with these unreal amounts of money. And Neal and I just had a conversation and
sign-on bonuses.
Yeah, they had all these fun things going on. And we just, you know, we believe in who we are. And when we had those interviews with them, I would be real honest and say, hey, listen, I'm not going to start you. We're not going to be able to start you at these big numbers. But what we can do is we can give you an opportunity to grow with us. Here's where we want to be. Here's the little dot in Lenoir, and we want to fill in Western North Carolina.
Right.
And if you want to help and you want to be a part of that, we'd love to have you join our team. But you're going to have to earn it, and you're going to have to work for it. And you're gonna have to be a part. You're gonna have to be a part of our journey. If you're not a part of the journey with us, I'm not looking for somebody who wants a paycheck. And that was part of our conversation. And when we opened the doors, we opened with 80 employees, 80. And I am glad to say we still have a lot of those original employees with us. Some have moved on, and that's okay. That's all right.
Probably have about half of them.
Yeah, we had a young girl the other day.
You still have half
with us.
Wow, you still have half of the original group? I can't help.
Well, I don't know if it's exactly half, but it's a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but look,
we're down to about 55 employees now.
I gotta speak.
You know, volume and.
Yeah, but I gotta speak to that though. But see, I think the key nuggets here. All right, the key. Hey, wait, the key idea that you're sharing with everybody, right? I see my light bulb go off above my head here. Isn't that awesome? Well, beside my head or just below my head. Anyway, the key nugget that you're bringing here is one, you explained who we are from the get-go. You didn't just say, you got reliable transportation.
Right.
Have you, what hours can you work? How much do I need to pay you? Wow, that's a lot of money. All right, I reckon I can do that. I mean, am I sling blading right now? I think I am a little bit, but you're interviewing about where you're going, what you're doing. It's not a dream, but it's hey, come join us, be a part of something bigger than yourself. Okay, be a part of something that you can get excited about coming, and we're gonna have some fun. Now, I'm gonna hold your butt accountable, but we're gonna have some fun too. And you know, you're basically doing what I did with you when we were adults in April in your 30s. Yeah. Come join me on this dream, right? And you're doing it with a 17-year-old. And what you found out is that they still want to be part of something. It's not always about $1 an hour or $2 an hour. It's a part of going to a place that you enjoy going. That's the big idea that I took away from that. So now you get open, and you guys have been wonderful on Facebook, okay? Matter of fact, I do know that you boost posts from time to time. Neal, I understand you let April boost them one time, and you got some response from somebody in Iowa. Somehow she boosted it across the country, and that guy was not sure how he was going to take advantage of that one-time offer. But you guys are really big on Facebook, so please, if you would. He appreciated it. Yeah, giving him the option, and you know, had he been flying into or driving into the greater Lenoir area, he would have stopped. So, but if you would kind of talk about Facebook a little bit for us right now, and how you've used that as a tool to help market your business. Yeah.
So very early on, we got with Kristen, and she gave us, you know, the rights that we would need. And Neal does have to monitor me because I sometimes don't use the English correctly, and so he has to make sure it's right. But you know, the thing that
I do a lot of proofreading, in other words,
and making sure I don't boost something for 10 days instead of 1 day.
There's been several posts that have been boosted, and we're paying for them a week after they happen. So I'm like, April, we gotta let me see it.
Okay.
Yeah, but so what I've done, you know, I very early on, I wanted to make sure, and we started this when we were bringing in customers, to back up just a little bit, when we were bringing in customers to sample our food and to eat with us. And, we did something unique with that as far as letting them come in to eat and making a donation. And when we were having a conversation with our customers right then, early on, before we were ever actually officially open, I said verbally to these people, I want to be part of the community. I am not here to be a restaurant. I want to be a community-based place that the community can use us for functions, for charity events. We want to be part of the school. So we addressed that day one. Who we were, why we were here. We were not here just to ring up sales in a register.
Right.
Let me reiterate on that. Let me reiterate on that a little bit too. So you didn't wait for them to come in and ask you. When you saw somebody come into your store that you knew was community involved or was with the school, you went to them. You didn't say, you literally went to them and said, look, we don't want to be, just a place that extracts from this community. We want to give back as well. And you made that crystal clear. And look, April, I know you. Right. I know you. So I know your eyeballs when you did that. They knew you were dead serious. This was not a line. I was talking about this the other. Look, I was talking about this the other day, and I want to throw this in right now too. But one of the things I was talking about, I noticed that, and I'm going to give myself a little pat on this, but I realized something when I was in Fort Payne, Alabama recently. And I went to a table and I introduced myself to a family sitting there on day one. And I caught myself, I looked at them, I said, guys, I just want to thank you so much for coming in here on day one. You took a risk. It could have been busy, could have been hard to find parking, but thank you all. So that means so much to us that you're here. And I said that with 1,000% sincerity, okay? And I really think that as opposed to saying like, my pleasure, as opposed like somebody else does, that thank you, they looked up at me and they were like, oh, absolutely, it's so good. And there was a connection in that moment. So I would love to see our operators, just like, that's what you did, April, and see our operators and even our staff say, thank you all so much for coming in tonight. Thank you all so much for coming in. Because without you, I don't have a job. Thank you. And if they would say it that way, they'd probably get a bigger tip because there's a connection that goes with a sincere thank you. Have you ever had a waitress that would literally be average until she handed you the bill? Then it was like, thank y'all, I appreciate you coming in tonight. No, that's phony. Give them great service, thank them sincerely, and then let's see what happens, okay? I'm sorry, I had Kenney rant, okay? I think it's the heat of my lamp. Let me turn that off. It's got me fired up a little bit here, I think. Let me turn the lamp off again, but I think there's two big ideas that came from there.
And Kenney, one of the things that I think that young operators in this business have to realize is that their role is much bigger than standing at a cook line or an expo. It's all about going out and getting to know those guests and talking to them, just like you said, and just, and being appreciative of them walking in your doors. And, one of the things that I did early on too is I joined anything and everything that was a community group on Facebook for my town. Whether it was a yard sale group or it was, what's going on in Lenore, loving Lenore. I can go on, there's a list of them. And so late night, I would just scroll through those. And if I saw that there was a charity event going on, I would private message them and say, hey, we'd love to help you. How can we help? And, I told you,
awesome.
I pushed myself into the community because I didn't know anybody. I didn't have the connections. And so I saw that the PTO was having a meeting. And so I contacted the school board and said, hey, I'd love to treat you to ice cream that day or lunch. How can I help? And so they invited me to come in, and we gave away, I think it was like 40 meals that day. But in giving away those meals, I was able to get in front of every single PTO. I'm sorry, our camera fell. Every single PTO or a PTA, ever how you want to call them, they're different names now. But I was able to get in front of them and just share Highway 55 and tell them that we're here to partner with them. And so if the operators and the GMs and the owners will look into their community and find out who's doing what and when are they doing it, and how could I be a blessing? And you don't always have to give money. You don't always have to to be a drop-off point or whatever. You can find a way to connect with them. We've used our TV screens in a lot of ways to help with that. If there's something local going on, we post it on our TV screen, because we want to make sure that when you come into Lenoir, it feels like Lenoir. It doesn't feel like a franchised Highway 55, that there's a reflection of what's going on in our community here and not just Highway 55 as a whole. We blend both of them well together, I think.
But let me interrupt you. Here's the key though, too. She's done all this, and I give her all the credit in the world because she's done all this. I've helped her, but it's been her going out in the community because that's her deal. But she's doing it right now still too. She hasn't stopped.
Right.
She didn't, for 90 days throw a bunch of Facebook ads out there and quit.
Yeah.
She's still doing it every freaking day, like clockwork.
Let me interrupt real quick because that's huge. That's huge. People, I call them bursters. Okay, I'm going to go burst and I'm going to go do this.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, I didn't get immediate results. It's sort of like me when I was a kid. I was the first one in the family to get a guitar. Well, I found out in the first hour I strummed it, Neal, that I was not Eddie Van Halen, so I gave it to Keith, okay? I was bursting when it came to a guitar. I really was. Right. Keith went on to become a pretty good guitar player, all right? But my point is that had I stayed with it, who knows? Who knows, right? And so, April, it's remember, I think I've used this analogy before too, that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to do what we do. But it takes somebody incredibly persistent and incredibly consistent, and you just keep going and going and going. Which kind of leads me to your kids' night too, because your kids' night, the first time you had a kids' night, did you have 100 kids show up the first night you did it, or okay? So let's talk about that.
12 or 8.
It was like between 8 and 12.
Yeah.
Do you know how many?
8 or 12.
Let me interrupt again. Do you know how many operators would have quit after that? Only 12 of them showed up.
Yeah.
And how many did you have with Bluey at 4:30 the other day?
Oh God, I don't know. I ran out of. I bought 80 Rice Krispie treats because we do a craft as well. Okay, so it's an event, and that's something that I think that has helped is all week leading up to our kids' night. On every to-go bag and every kids' meal that dines in with us, there's a flyer about our event that's going to happen the next Tuesday. And so we print every week. It's just
every week.
It's a new thing.
Not every other
Our
week.
customers, if they don't get it, they ask me.
Wow. They ask for what's coming up.
So we do it. Yeah. Yep. And so then we have that, and then our coloring sheet matches our event, and then our craft that we do that night matches that. And so our team, it may look like it's all Neal and April. It is not. I have an incredible team in our store that is made up of 16-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 40-year-olds. I mean, we have a team that meets and plans these things out. And so when we put these programs together, now it's just it's easy to do because we do it all the time. But this team comes up with what's our next event going to be. But last night, to answer your question, I bought 80 Rice Krispie treats. I was out of 80 Rice Krispie treats an hour and a half into it.
Wow.
I didn't think I would need that many. I bought a box of graham crackers as a backup. Went through that entire box, and we were searching for items. What could we use?
Wow.
So I have no idea how many kids we had. Some kids came in for just to see Bluey. Mom and Dad brought them in, and they saw Bluey, and they turned around and left. That's fine. We still made a connection. I got them on the parking lot. They got to feel Highway 55 for the first time.
They may come back, was not so good.
That's right. They may come back. And we had some that came in and just had ice cream on our kids' night. Our kids' nights are half price, and kids get ice cream for free. So we don't do the car or ice cream that one night. So some kids just came in and had a scoop of ice cream and turned around and left. That's okay. And then we had 6 pages of waiting list names.
Wow.
For last night. It was crazy. I have not had an event this big. How did it get to be so big? We were persistent. We've been advertising. Here's the other cool thing that's happened is 2 things that are really, I think, are cool, and it's just because of what each one of our employees, every one of our employees share everything that we put on social media.
Yes, it is.
A large
Majority
percentage,
of it.
majority of them do. And so they help us. But the other thing that has happened is the community is coming to us now and saying, hey, we're putting this production on next month at the theater. Will you let us come to a kids' night for you? We'll bring the cast members in.
We'll bring the cast members, yes.
To promote our play in your four walls. So that's happened. Charlie Brown was all the community. And then the other thing that happened two weeks ago is I got a private message from a mom's group in Lenore. It's just for moms. You can't join if you're not a mom. And she said, I would love for you to just start posting your kids' night events. I can't let you post anything else, but will you always post your kids' night events? Well, we saw this huge jump last week, and now this week has happened. And the other thing that's happened, I think that that's really, we've involved our entire team. Our kids are our characters. We had last night, Bluey was the fiance of our lead cook, Betty. It was her fiance. And they're asking
And
us,
he's awesome.
and he's awesome. He works a full-time job, and he got there last night. And the other thing is, like, this morning I woke up to a message that happened at 12:30 last night from one of our employees that said, hey, Miss April, I don't know if you were aware of it or not, but there's a new Disney movie that's coming out later this year. We need to go ahead and put this on our calendar for the characters. So the team is involved. It's not, like I said.
But how did you do that?
Neal and April.
Look, how did you get the team to be involved in the beginning? And one more thing, I feel like I've got to say, if they're doing the play in town, the full Monty, then that is like a lot of naked men. So do not let them come in. Okay, I just thought I'd throw that in. All right, but how did you get the team? Okay, how did you get the team to come together to do that? Because it's amazing. How did that start? Because if some other store out there is like, okay, where do I start? Who did you start with? Was it one employee that you talked to and they got excited? Or how did this begin is what I'd like to know. Because you're right. I think we all know this.
Yeah.
Neal and April can't do this by themselves. We all know that. So how did that start?
Of course, just So I think one of the things that we did very early on is, I spoke of it, and I think it was in the first part of this, is that working at the home office, I had to realize that I couldn't do everything. I had to trust others. And so I have to trust, Neal and I have to trust that Sarah and Aaron, which are phenomenal, they've got the operation part, they've got the store part. They need our leadership and they need our guidance, and they're still learning. They want to be owners. So that's our goal. And so we're teaching them how to be owners so they can focus on that part. And then the other part of the team can focus in on helping me design and lay this program out, this kids' night or whatever we're doing in the community. I mean, we've done a lot of different things.
And we just kept involving them.
Yeah, we just kept
involving
so
them.
our, and I don't know how many stores actually use their group store chats, but we have a group chat with our employees, and it's not just about, who didn't fill up the ketchup bottles, which doesn't happen very often on our group chat, but it's not about, who can work for what shift. It's about patting them on the back and encouraging them and encouraging the behavior we're looking for and rewarding that behavior.
Yeah.
We have a reward program that we use for our employees, and just rewarding them on things that we're looking for. And I don't care, one of our strongest front of the house leaders is 16. She was 15 when she started with us, and now she's 16. And I'm telling you, man, she'll just jump in the car and say, hey, I'm gonna run over to the racetrack and I'm gonna hand out a bunch of menus.
She also texted the group chat this morning that today was National Hot Dog Day, and we needed to make sure we ran that 555 special with 2 hot dogs.
And I had a call from Aaron. Yeah.
Wow.
I had a call from Aaron this morning, the GM, and he said, Miss April, he said, I know we really didn't put this on our calendar. And he said, but we got to do something. And I said, what's going on? He says, well, another restaurant in town, Sonic, is running a big hot dog deal. And I'm not going to let them have a leg up on us. We're going to bury them. And I was like, I mean,
Right.
like you said, even if they come up with a suggestion that you don't necessarily like, sometimes just letting them run with it. And that's what we've done. Some of these kids' night, the characters or the themes that they wanted to do, I've kind of looked at them kind of cross-eyed. And I'll be honest with you, I had no idea Bluey was going to be like this.
What the heck's a Bluey?
I didn't even know who Bluey was. And No clue, and still don't know that I understand who Bluey is.
I watched a video and I'm like, what is this?
Right.
Is not funny, you know?
And-
whatever.
And
Kids love
They
it.
say Johnny Quest.
No, it ain't. It ain't Johnny Quest. It's not even Johnny Bravo.
you know, in the beginning when we started doing our kids' nights, I would hire in an actress, not an actress, but I'd hire in somebody that had the dress to be a princess, or they were trying to kick their own business off for birthday parties and things. So I would hire them in, and then
Yeah,
you know,
and Angela helped source that for us.
Yeah, Angela was phenomenal in the beginning. You know, and one of the things I would suggest is, if you're not familiar with how to work with kids, find someone who is. Neal and I do not have kids. We've loved a lot of people's kids. Golly, we love kids like they're our own sometimes, but we don't always know what's the right thing to do or say, or, you know, what project. And Angela, in the beginning, she worked with the daycare, and she came from a school education of children's, I don't know what it's called. Anyway, she was a school system, a teacher in the school system. And so she helped me lay the foundation for this. And I brought her on to help me. And she's gone on to open her own business now. So she's still in the background helping me. She still helps me and makes sure I'm on the right track, so to speak. And but, you know, if you're not somebody that knows what to do with young kids, then get somebody who is, and ask them to help you. And if you have to pay them a few dollar bills, or buy them lunch or dinner or whatever, a gift card, and that's what we did, is get them to help me with the craft. But you know, just be persistent. Last night, and I don't know what to do, because it was over our expectations. It's the biggest event I've ever housed in-house in 4 walls of Highway 55. When you have 6 pages of a waiting list, and you've got people lined out the door waiting to get their picture made with Bluey, you've done something. And I'm not bragging on me. I'm bragging on the team. They conquered it. We were not expecting it to be that big, and they just rallied around and never missed a beat on the cook line, and never missed a beat on the floor.
They're always prepared for whatever walks in the door. They're
are
always prepared to do more than they think.
We always talk about that.
Well, look, guys, look, y'all have, I mean, this is chock full of nuggets, chock full of good stuff. I mean, just tremendous stuff. And I'd like to wrap it up with this, okay? I'm really proud of you guys, but you've been able to do this without any competition opening up around you too, correct? You've been able to maintain your good sales without anybody new coming in. And what is your attitude towards competition when it shows up? Just kind of share that with everybody, if you would.
Yeah. I'll be glad to share that with you, because Neal and I had a conversation this morning, and I don't know if it's healthy or not. It's healthy for me. But I have to ride by we have to ride by this particular restaurant that opened up on the corner. And most people would say they have the best location. They have the biggest restaurant.
It's an absolutely gorgeous building. Yeah,
it's a gorgeous building. We watched them build every block of that building. And every day I went by them with the mindset of, I'm going to kick your tail. And I didn't say it quite that nice. You're not going to take anything from us. And so we put together a program that put us, you know, I believe in taking people's thunder. It's just like Aaron calling this morning and saying he's not going to let another restaurant take his sales today. You have to go into it with the competitive mindset.
Absolutely.
And last night,
Mindset.
Mindset. That's it. Last night when I pulled up to the stoplights of this other particular restaurant, and guys, this restaurant, look them up online if you'd like, but they sell a lot of the same food that we sell. They're known for their ice cream. They're known for their hot dogs. But I will not concede to them. I will go down swinging as hard as I can swing. I pulled up to the stoplight last night, and it was 11:30 because we had stayed and we met with a couple employees afterwards, because we just had a big day and we wanted to talk about it and just kind of quarterback it a little bit. And I pulled up to the light and I said, I kicked your ass today. That's what I said.
Yep.
And I kicked your tail, and I'm sorry if you need to clean it up, that's fine. But my words were that I kicked them. And they know we're in town, and they'll always know.
That was our goal when we found out they were coming, that they would rue the day they walked into the
Yeah,
door.
because what they don't have
No.
our team.
Our culture.
They don't have our culture, they don't have our team, and they don't have our drive, and we're competitive, and we've claimed our spot and it's ours, and we made our mark in the community. You know, one of the things that we've done in the community, you know, the Facebook post about the Vacation Bible School that we made a post about. And if I can speak to that for just a second, because I think that's something too, and I know you're trying to wrap up, but I think it's important. Neal told me, he said, look, you got some boxes of potato chips back here in the back that were left over from a catering event. You need to do something with them. Donate them somewhere. Do something nice with it.
Get them out of my way.
Yeah, get them off the shelf. We need to move them. So I threw it out there, and I thought, you know, there's so many vacation Bible schools going on right now. Is there a way that I can just donate them to a vacation Bible school? So I threw it out there and just said, hey, if you're having vacation Bible school, let us know. We're going to draw, and whoever the person is, we draw the name is, we'll give you these 5 boxes of potato chips. It was $48 per box. It was a nice little, you know, chunk of potato chips. Well, we ended up getting 100 and I don't know, you have to look at the count, 114, 120 comments about us doing that.
We'll take them.
We'll take them. And, you know, how nice of you to do this. Bless you for helping out. And Neal and I talked about it. How do you give? It was 58 churches. How do you give one group a gift? How do you bless just one church? And so we talked about it, and we said, you know what? We've said we were going to be part of the community. We said we were here for the right reasons. Let's give back. It's going to cost us a little bit of money, but let's give back. And so what we did is we made a decision. Every person that posted their church's name on that original post, we gave them a tub of ice cream for their vacation Bible school.
Yep.
And so that turned into being not only a blessing for us, it was a way to teach our employees how to give back and how to extend ourselves. And yes, the financial part is, I think we added up, it's about $1,300. If everybody gets a tub of ice cream, it'll be about $1,300 over a 2-month period. So it's not, it was something that we felt led to do. And from doing that, we have had more publicity buzz in the community. And just, I've had people come in and say that they're praying for our business, and that they have asked for a special blessing to come across our store. And I think that, you know, if we're going to live what we say, we're going to be that love your neighbor.
You got to figure out
how to do it. And sometimes it costs you a little money.
You gotta love your neighbor. Right.
I mean, and honestly,
we did it with a good heart.
Yeah, and honestly too, $1,300 could be 3 billboards in town a month that you spend. $1,300 could be a couple of old school newspaper ads if you did a big one. I mean, but instead, you're giving back, you're doing it, and you're literally putting what we do in the mouths of children. And once again, even if they don't come in to eat, in God's eyes and in the business and in business's eyes and in my eyes and Highway 55's eyes, you guys have crushed it with that. And look, there's been a ton of wonderful thoughts, a ton of ideas. You know, I'm honored. I'm blessed to have you as a friend. Y'all know I love you. We rarely ever hang up the phone without saying I love you. And I'll see you guys tonight at the. I'll see you tonight at our little Bible study that we do on Zoom. And hey, for everybody else out there, Neal and April Dennis are phenomenal. But I think they'd be the first to tell you that it's not about them. It's about their team that they've created. It's about their connections to the community. It's about their desire to love their neighbor that has made them successful. These are 30-year veterans. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a teacher. They're just speaking the reality of what their life has been. And I think they would tell you they've been blessed from their time here. This is the podcast that hopefully with Conversations with Kenney. And hopefully you've enjoyed it, and you'll join us next time. Take care, everybody.